Welcome, gentlemen. We are live on Facebook right now, and I'm just gonna press start the webinar. We have some people that are joining the webinar right now, so we're just gonna give them a few more minutes. Um, I'm just so happy that that you guys are joining us today, um, and the whole this idea of industry and academia working together is such a great idea, and this is idea that what we need right now. Sam, you're very passionate about this. Tell me maybe some of your thoughts about how this partnership, why is this partnership so important for industry and academia?
Yeah, thanks, Norman, and it's great to be part of it too. I think for me, there's a few angles on this. I've been around automotive and manufacturing for quite a long time now, but was very lucky to do my master's degree with Ford through Wayne State University. Um, my career has been diverse, but I think looking through all of it, the awareness of location services and how it really does play into solving issues for not only industry, but any kind of faction of activity. Remember, my good friend Mark, who's on this call, it's about flow, whether it's people, parts, objects, organizations. Um, Everything is not standing still, even from just vibration to the biggest kind of transatlantic, cross-continental movement to satellites, etc. And it's a missed part when we look at curriculums and education, that kind of whole inclusivity of it it's just not been there. So to be part of this and working on location, along with all the other context of Industry 4.0, IoT, Industry 5.0 with cobotics, it's a critical element that people kind of quite often overlook in the whole scenario of things. So that's why it's great to be part of this and part of the ecosystem that we're putting together.
I know, and I'm just this. I think right now the challenge is so big. Um, the technology is moving so fast, and unless we work as industry and academia, and not only industry and academia, but the whole ecosystem, where there's the government, there's other people, everybody around. We need to come together, and this is so important for us to work. And this is why I love this idea to having here on board with Industry X, and helping us in developing this ecosystem.
Yeah, I think information's overtaken us, right? There's, we talked about data explosions, and there's so much information out there now, whether you're open to it or your kind of big brother perspective, it's floating around. I think the biggest problem is how do we use it in appropriate ways? And no one company will figure this out. So the collective, all these kind of put your direct competitiveness down and work on holistic solutions. It's going to take many avenues, not only companies that are trying to solve problems, but technology providers, but more importantly, the education and the research side of it, which is why having this foundation with Industry X and around Wayne State University, I think it's so critical that we get the combination right, and kind of, it's not so much grassroots up, but we realize that we've got pieces missing that this environment is going to bring together. That's the fun part for me, and a good reason to do it in my mind. It's my adopted city, Detroit, and coming over from England back in 1988. I love this place, and there's a reason that we're so good around this area, because we're the heart of manufacturing and will remain to be, and we're going to get back on that pedestal and make the world wake up to us a little bit. And Wayne State's right in the heart of that, and so is Industry X. I'm really chuffed about it and excited.
No, I know. So, gentlemen, I think we're almost ready, and I welcome everyone to the program. We have a number of people are joining right now. So we're going to start. Again, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Naman, and I'm with Industry X, and I welcome you to this monthly Industry 4.0 webinar series. In this webinar series, we talked about industry pain points, advanced technology solutions with expert panels and our technology partners. And today, it is my great pleasure to introduce HERE Technologies and our friends at HERE Technologies who are working with us, who are helping us in this in developing this ecosystem, what we are talking about. So I welcome Sam Phillips, Chip, and Mark today, and Divya is also online with us from HERE Technologies. So I welcome everyone, and I just want to maybe take a few minutes and please introduce yourself. What is your background? What are you passionate about? Just share something about yourself here.
Sure. So hello, everybody. This is Sam Phillips with HERE Technologies. I have worked in manufacturing now for more years than I care to remember, from both in my days back as an apprentice with Austin Rover in England, all the way to coming across to the States in 1988 and working in technology and operations with companies like Ford, Hewlett-Packard, Cisco, and now the company that I'm proud to represent is HERE Technologies. So a lot of background in IT and OT, specializing now in location services with the company. Great to be able to talk to you today about this subject.
Oh, welcome, Sam. I'm so excited. And Sam is a dear friend. We've been working together for quite some time. He just, every time I talk to him, and with his passion for education and this relationship is just amazing. Welcome, Sam. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Chip, go ahead, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chip Reibel. I'm a business solution architect at HERE Technologies. I started at HERE almost 11 years ago now. And I've been involved in location and positioning companies in the industry for the better part of 17 or 18 years now. So it's a pleasure to be a part of the panel, and looking forward to it.
No, great. Thank you, Chip. Thanks for joining. I know you bring a lot of expertise and a lot of that technical skills that is needed for this type of services. So we welcome, and I'm really intrigued by this location services, and I'm so much looking forward to listening to your expert comments. Marcus, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so Mark Phillips, joined HERE nearly 2 years ago. I joined as a business solutions architect in the automotive and industrial area. And I've really been focusing on the industrial aspects of location intelligence. So really excited about working with Wayne State, and looking forward to the webinar.
Great. Thank you. And then we have Divya. Divya, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Divya Mehra. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at HERE Technologies. I've been with the company about 8 years, and very passionate about location data and what it can bring about to improve business outcomes. So yes, very excited about this webinar. And so I'm moderating the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat window and we'll get them answered.
Oh, thank you, Divya. Excellent. Sam, Charity is not here. Give us an update on her as well, and please go ahead.
Sure. I very last minute, and regrettably, Charity has succumbed to COVID, we believe. So she's doing okay, but it's obviously a strain on her and health. So at the last minute, even this morning, she was still fighting to try and represent us. Charity is a wonderful person. She is our Vice President of the Americas for Automotive and Industrial Sales, and is a very critical piece to our relationship and partnership with Wayne State University and Industry X. Without her, we wouldn't be pursuing this as aggressively, and her open-mindedness and awareness of the criticality of location services. So we'll miss her today, but rest assured she's with us thinking about what we're doing, but I just want her to get healthy and back so that we can do more and more things with this situation.
Right. Thank you. So our prayers with Charity, and we wish her healthy health and speedy recovery. So with this, so let me just give a brief introduction. I think we know about Industry X. So Industry X is innovation center of excellence, and the whole idea is to drive operational excellence through advanced technologies, and then the power of AI. We are focused in 3 key areas. One is workforce development. The next one is we're doing some projects with companies where advanced research projects, developing some new new products and innovation. And the third one, key one, is venture. We are very focused on developing new products with our ecosystem and with our students. This program, there are a number of people there are very involved in this. We have a number of students are involved, and we welcome all students. We call them industry. We call them student ambassadors. So we have a student ambassador program. They're involved. Then we have a fellow network in which industry professionals are part of this network. And currently we have 2 networks that are working. And one is in data science and analytics, and the other one is digital supply chain. And then we have technology partners like Here Technologies, where they're working with us and helping us and to work with us to solve some of those difficult problems. But if you want, if you need more information, you can visit industryx.org or follow us on the social media on our LinkedIn page and Facebook page, and we have a YouTube channel as well. But anyway, I like to understand what is the location services and what is Here Technology. So help us with that, please.
Well, yeah, thanks, Noman, and hello, everyone. And oops, it looks like Charity's picture is still on the slide. Yes, it's probably better that way. As Sam mentioned, it's unfortunate that Charity wasn't able to join us today. She's a tremendous advocate and a terrific leader. May not look like it from her picture, but she leaves some rather large shoes for me to fill today, so I'll certainly do my best. But it's a pleasure to speak with everyone today and about the importance of Here's relationship with Industry X and the University of Wayne State. Here recognizes the importance of partnerships, not only in direct business, but also in the advancement of technology and education. While Industry X does extend our reach and our ability to innovate, we also need to engage the next generation of the workforce, providing insight regarding how technology is applied in the real world. The remarkable environment that's being created by Industry X allows a multitude of companies to understand and embrace each other's capabilities and to provide a holistic view on working with other companies to optimize their operations and introduce new products and how to drive the American dream for generations to come.
Okay, no, very good.
So if we can go on to the next slide. So over the years and through a couple name changes, several of which I've been a part of, the Here Technologies has earned the recognition of being a leading location services provider, and our customers are confident that Here continues to provide the highest quality mapping data and location content that's available. That's why I can honestly say that today, as a result of all the hard work with key partners and developers and investors, Here's portfolio truly is second to none. And this is just a few of the companies that we work with, some of our investors, and a brief overview of our history. So, but why Industry X and why Wayne State University? Kind of some of the questions that you brought up earlier. Here Technologies' roots are firmly planted within the automotive industry. In our early years, we learned that local capabilities and local innovation, it's paramount to success in any particular region. And Wayne State, it's at the heart of this. It's not just for automotive, but it's for healthcare and small and medium company growth, as well as entrepreneurship. Industry X has provided additional outreach for us, a further extension of what's already a substantial development capability. We're not just settling for what's here today. Instead, we're establishing the direction for tomorrow. And we believe that by combining HERE's resources with Wayne State's profile, it'll allow us to create and implement better solutions and drive the importance of location services into the education curriculums. And it'll help advance the region's status as being the leading industrial player. You know, here's just we're just proud to be a founding partner of this endeavor and look forward to the success with Industry X going forward. As we know from Industry 4.0 and the IoT, the amount of location data that's available to us, I mean, in reality, it's almost infinite. Just the $1 million question becomes, how do we leverage this vast amount of data to make better, more informed decisions? Over the next half hour or so, we'll explore what the application of location and location services can provide for industrial optimization and advancement. We look forward to working with customers of Industry X and developing next generation education curriculums and explaining the extensive role that location services does play in solving various business problems. So with that said, Sam, if you want to provide a little more detail on how location services are applied to industry, that'd be great.
Sam, I have a question for you before you jump in. Location services, for me, is maps and GPS. So is that true? Like that you guys are only developing these maps and everything?
Yeah. Thanks, Norman. It's funny because when we were talking about this the other day, I nearly fell off the chair when you I think your quote was, "Well, that's just GPS." So it's obviously not. As much as sensing where you are using different technologies, and just some examples on this slide, it's really about the information you know about the location or the object or how it's moving. So on this slide, I don't want today to be a technical discussion. We can go deep offline, and please, if there's any questions, again, put them in the chat room. But there's many different types of technologies: cellular, Bluetooth, ultrasonics, X-ray. All of these things play in to forming a location service. And I think as we go through some of the more material today, we'll start to get a glimpse of it. But again, not deep technical today, but just an awareness of really what location services involve. So if we go on, Norman, if we look at this, and again, Chip and Mark are on call. If people want to interject, that's fine. But there's always two perspectives to when we talk about location. First of all, absolute location. This is more typically what we would see with GPS, such as the lat-long coordinate systems that we get from what we think are fixed assets. Things like buildings, things like roadways, the general geographic location, Everest. But you've got to be aware that everything is moving. Even Everest is growing, so it's going further into the sky every year. It's a very small amount, but Everest is actually growing. Buildings vibrate, buildings move. So I just wanted to show you this and get you to think beyond just a standard XYZ and more into relative positioning, relative location. I'm not sure if you realize, but obviously it's a very tricky year health-wise for a lot of people. But we have companies researching how to put up to 70, and I'll repeat that, 70 sensors into pillows, just to kind of get an awareness of how your head is moving, the neurological patterns that are involved in it, things like sleep apnea, headache conditions, etc. So this whole IoT sensor perspective is huge, tons of data. And again, the question really, as I was talking with Norman earlier, just before we started, is what are we doing with the information? That's key. So I want to just play a quick game with you, keep this nice, lighthearted. And if we change slides, let's play a quick game with each other really quickly.
So Sam, this pillow, the picture of the pillow that we're seeing, is that maybe a real life example how this location services can play a key part in healthcare?
Well, the picture is actually a simple version of what we know companies are working on today. As I said, up to 70 sensors. And it's not just the position of your head when you're sleeping, it's the patterns that occur in your neurological, your brain waves, any slight movement. Snoring actually causes vibration and it's causing movement. So this is not something that's out of the imagination. This is going on today to improve one of the industries, which is healthcare. Location is a part of this in a very micro perspective, but it is location services.
Wow. I never, to be honest with you, I never thought about this deep about location services. And I think this is great. So give us an example, like a simple way that what is this thing and how does it work?
Right, so let's play. Let's go on to the next slide a little bit. I think everybody would recognize this character. Mr. Waldo. I haven't actually found him anywhere yet, but I understand he does exist and he's got a few friends in there. It's funny how they all wear the same uniform and they all come together, but when you put them into an industrial environment and you combine them with other people that may be wearing the same uniform, the challenge is, where are they? What are they doing? What are they involved in? Let's add a few others. Let's add Wally, right? I love Wally. He's probably one of my favorite characters of all times, but he's got friends as well. Let's add a few more friends. So one more click of the mouse, Norman. You combine all of these different entities, assets, objects, environments, and you put them together. So one more click, Norman. You have this total picture of confusion. Who is doing what? Where are they? Are they supposed to be there? And I'll just go back, reflect. Do you remember the guy with the yellow stripes? Looked a little unscrupulous. I'm not sure where he is in this whole thing, but he's probably hacking something or a system, or he's messing with a piece of equipment where he shouldn't be. And we need to know this whole macro data. Data is coming off many devices, many things, but how do we utilize it to make this thing go forward? This is why there's so much more to just where am I in terms of providing location services and what we call rich content to the scenario. So let's just, one more mouse. You see in the bottom, you see Sam the snail. I'm not sure that he's prepared to move, but if he was to wander around this whole facility trying to do his job, all the relative position information is now changing in context of Sam the snail. I had to name him after myself. But he doesn't move too quickly, but eventually when we get through this deck, he may have moved to the other side, but he's trying to understand this whole operation. Not easy. This is why we get these control tower perspectives and visualization, visibility aspects, what is going on, what is the information associated to the objects in their environments. So let's just click on a little bit, Norman. So let's look at this now. Things have changed. Henry Ford, great pioneer in his day. I'm very proud to have worked for Ford Motor Company for a while. But things moved, you know, and they're moving faster than we can really comprehend. The days of mass production, when he said you can have anything you want as long as it's black, really has now changed to mass configuration. And I love this picture. The Mini, the vehicle, actually went into production in 1958, still going strong, but the companies have changed, etc. But the expectation is that there's 10 million ways, I say that again, 10 million ways to configure the vehicle. This webinar today is not about the automotive industry, but it's about that ability to get all the information you require and all the components and the assets in the right place at the right time. So you look at the growth of data associated to it. And again, this is why as a location service, it's not just about where you are, it's what's going on around you. How can you bring things together so you can support mass production, but you can configure however you want it, the way that you want it. So this is a good depiction to me of the awareness that in something as simple as a vehicle that actually isn't simple, they're looking at 10 million ways to configure it.
So Sam, one thing that is is really important in this market is the speed of decision. So what I'm understanding from this picture or from the discussion that we have so far, that this is really bringing the speed of decision to people, where they understand where are my assets, where's my people, what can we do with these things. So is that like what you see, like the benefit of this location services, Sam?
It's a critical theme, Norman. And again, you think about the pace of things, that the amount of production goes on. And two things there that I mentioned, that there's four things really. You've got to remove uncertainty from decisions. The more information you have, you increase confidence, you're aware. But the speed of decision, there's, we talk about real time. Well, real time in its own kind of convention, there's a point in time, but very quickly, once that point's moved, we've moved on as well. So making the right decision to be predictive and to eliminate problems going forward, that's the critical piece. And again, when we talk about location, it's what's going on with it, is it available for use, etc. So we have to have ourselves and our assets and everything in the right place at the right time. So those four things that you see on the left-hand side, I think are critical elements to the decision process and what information you actually have to utilize.
Wow. Wow. No, this is, I think this is really, really great, that how this is solving some of the key pain points in the industry: uncertainty, decision-making, real-time information. But is that like a one size fit all? Is it like this technology is like such that one size fits all?
Yeah, interesting. The slide that follows, I think, kind of gives you the input. And again, a lot of credit to my colleague, Mark Phillips, who's on the call, that we did this work actually in conjunction with Wayne State and the students and the researchers there. You can see the small insets at the top of the slide. Both are power systems, power units. One you can fit in the palm of your hand. The other one, I'm not sure quite where we can fit it, but they're both essentially performing the same thing. But imagine what goes into it. And then you think about tracking where things are. All of the things down the middle of the slide, these are things that we're trying to solve. Whether you're indoor or outdoor makes a big difference to how you would approach the problem, what technologies you would use, and what you can actually solve in those environments. So it's important, again, there is no one size fits all. That's why companies have to come together with their different levels of expertise and excellence and technologies so that you can form the right solution for the right situation. Maybe it's not going to be perfect, but we're getting to that perfect fit scenario.
So in this through the location services, you're tracking assets, you're tracking people, you're optimizing the routes, you're increasing the utilization of certain things. And that's something which is very important for us in terms of the operational efficiencies, producing growth for the markets, and also maybe think about maybe business reinvention, reimagination of certain businesses through the location services. So I think this is something which is very interesting for me. But what are the requirements for this? How do you bring this together? How do you build this? Is it like easy?
Well, again, if we move on, just a click here, it's the same challenge, right? We talk about, and I use this, and again, Mark did a lot of work to develop this. To me, it's like positive crime scenes. And we're really trying to get the DNA right. We have a situation, and there's probably DNA all around the scene, what we were trying to do, what we needed to understand, who was there, etc. But in terms of solutioning, we've got to come back and make sure that we get the match. So you know, a little bit of graphic work on this thing to say, I've got a situation, there's all these elements to it, and I've got to come up with the right combination. Even trackers, for example, you think a tracker is a simple device, but how often do I need a signal from it? And based on how often I get that signal, what is the battery life? What environment does it have to work in? Is it an IP67, IP68 industrial environment versus an outside, indoor, etc.? So always, we got to consider a few things here: cost, the environment, and most importantly, the specifications, whether they're compliance requirements or the customer. But if you lose one of these elements, in my mind, these are the three most critical areas, you are not going to get into a good solution. And again, I'm going to emphasize the nature of the partnerships of working with Industry X and our other colleagues, partners, and companies to come together. This is the value, and this is the exploration between solving a problem today, putting research in place for the next generation of solutions. And that's, you know, again, that's the exciting element of working with Industry X in these environments.
And what does ecosystem look like, Sam? Tell me about the ecosystem. What are the different elements of this ecosystem?
Yeah, so again, we call it the cake. I'm not a big fan, but that's how this thing kind of got christened. Many layers to get this thing together. And if we do it, I like to walk backwards. So if I play golf, if I'm going to play golf, I really need to understand kind of the back end. So if I play golf, I like to start on the green on the 18th and walk the course backwards so I can fully understand it. If you look at the first platform, I don't know if you can back up a little bit, Noman, but it's okay, stay there. We're going to look at how we visualize information. So again, partners, a company like a Tableau, I'll mention a few, Web IBI, information builders, Pivot BI or Power BI. We have to have environments can look at it. The second platform is the data comes, right? How are we going to analyze information? Do we have the right algorithms? Who can provide that? This comes from research, this comes from scientists, etc. But we need to be able to work in a platform environment that can support that. So again, a location service also includes platform elements. And when we look at platforms today, not a lot of them include the location service elements that are required to solve the problem. We've also got to know about the objects and the platforms, etc. So mapping out what goes on in these facilities, the signal strengths, etc. And then obviously on the top, so if we can cascade through a little bit to the top layer, Noman, all of this has to build. So again, I mentioned earlier, the tracking devices, where are they? What are they located? What is the right technology for the environment? The one below shows a heat map of the radio signals that we have in a facility. All of this has to come together. So again, it's not just about GPS. Is that what location services is about? It's this whole schema of information that has to come together, and we have to have ways to access the information, ingest it, analyze it, and redistribute it in a way that it can solve problems for the customers.
Okay. And to do this is like many layers, obviously. Are you guys are doing it by yourself, or what is your approach to deliver the solution, Sam?
Yep, so the honesty of this is no, and as I said earlier, no one company can put this whole scenario together. So I'll give credit to Accenture. This format of the slide is something that we looked at with Accenture, quite a well-known consultancy business company. But we looked at it kind of from starting with the side. We all have partners. Every customer company that we work with has a multitude of partners. What we're trying to understand is the best combination of partners and the applications that they provide. In the middle sector, you see, and this is a reflection of how we're bringing in expertise. You see ourselves as a platform play. We have Microsoft that is now working with Industry X on the board of advisors, along with Dell. So we are combining strengths of each company to look at this advancement of Industry X and the situations that we're going to solve for. Because on the right side of this diagram, you see all the things that the companies are trying to go for, all these improvement areas. But you see in the middle, without location services, the items identified in the red text, you don't get a holistic view of what can be operated, what needs to be worked on to achieve the objectives on the right-hand side.
So the winning in this market, one of the rule that I learned is this ecosystem. Not the technology is moving so fast. So what I gather from here, from this slide, is that you have multiple partners who are working in their own domains, and is helping to put this solution together, with you guys leading this whole location services transformation.
Absolutely, but every element from every company involved, and this is not just the inclusive list of partners. As I said, it's not just our partners and the companies that we're interested in. Our customers have partner ecosystems as well. So if you didn't see one of your partners or your company name listed here, it doesn't mean that you're outside of the realm of location services, far from it. It's the collective that works, and we bring in others as well, the experts in the domains, because again, it's the holistic view that we need to go after.
Right. So you talked to me about this unique, or a very simple but very interesting example, Sam, about the journey of a potato from farm to fork. So
Sure.
this is really interesting, this example that you brought. But we go to McDonald's or Burger King, or just at home, we eat fries or maybe other products. But how does this location services interact or help in this whole journey? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am carrying a few too many pounds, and I'm going to blame McDonald's for it. But I'm happy to make that half sacrifice because they're so good. But if we think about it, if you just click once, Norman.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that was twice, but that's okay. Just stay there. The first thing, and again, I talked to Sarah Masood, who's part of this organization, very intense, very bright, scientific person about location, right? Potato is the first thing that we need. But before we even have the potato, where do we grow it? Where is the soil components, the right constituencies, the right water content, the right mix of soil? All of this is enrichment of location. So first of all, decide where I'm going to grow a potato. Secondly, if you look at the machinery that harvests this, the tractors are basically mobile laboratories. They're taking soil content, they're taking measurements of the products themselves to decide, am I going to harvest it? All of that needs to be recorded and transmitted back so we know the locations of what was harvested, but more importantly, what wasn't, and what happens next to make that product usable. And again, I love the potato because I think nearly everybody likes potatoes in some form, but it just goes this kind of farm to fork mentality of why location information is so critical throughout. If you click one more time.
This is interesting for me, Sam, that understanding where the machinery is. For example, there's a farming season, there's so much equipment is available. And for me to maybe make a plan for this, I'm just thinking here, putting my thinking hat on, not an expert, but it would be a huge value for me to know where's the machinery, when the machinery will be available, so that I can maybe schedule my harvest or schedule the next steps. Is that?
I mean, it's part of the asset tracking, asset availability, asset utilization, and we'll talk more a little bit as we move further in the deck. But 1,000% agreement. It's not just where is the product that I'm going to harvest. where are all the resources that I need to perform that task? Is it the right equipment? So it just compounds, but again, emphasizes that location is not just about where am I at any given time, it's am I ready? Do I have the right equipment? Can I bring things together at the right time, et cetera? Very critical pieces.
That's what I see the value and the speed of decision, Sam, and the right decision, and to plan for success. This is what I'm learning from this conversation, that this is getting me ready to plan for success and make those decisions. So the speed of business is there, and which is the need, which is the name of the game right now, speed of business.
Yeah, agree with you. Agree with you. If you look at harvesting, you know, we put the crops into storage. Those potatoes, as I said, there's transition. Maybe the potato is not actually physically moving, but within the potato, there's changes. So we're still taking moisture readings. We're trying to dig through so that we know for the next stage how we take it into processing. If you're not aware and you haven't looked at this industry at all, the main way that potatoes are propelled through production is water. So you go back to the old days of industry, where am I going to put my equipment, industries, the old mills and everything? Well, we found water sources. But if you think now about location services and infrastructure, where can I build a plant because I've got a good water supply? But again, where do I transfer the water to for regeneration, cleaning, filtration, etc.? This is the mega play of location services. And it goes now to the extent of the environment. Where should we be? What can we use? What are our natural resources? If you look at all the spices in the image, I've seen this and I witnessed, so I'm kind of a character witness to this. Some of these ingredients, although it may be a French fry to you, are very critical to McDonald's or Burger King. I won't go through all of them. It'll mean that I know too many of them. But you can lose these spices and they're contained in bags. But when you think some of these ingredients for the smallest amount of the ingredient, the relative cost is astronomical. So imagine losing one of these bags of ingredients that says, I can't run production because I've just lost an ingredient that is about $200 a gram. It's not just that you've lost that ingredient, you've stopped production because I can't automatically now change over the batch from a McDonald's or a Frito-Lay or a etc. Because back to the potato composition. I think in Peru, don't quote me, but I think because of all the different microclimates in Peru, they can produce about 1,000 different types of potato. And the microclimates they have around Machu Picchu, the famous place in that area, about every 10 feet, there is a different microclimate. So again, this whole location services, environment, mapping, which is our basis, all comes into play. So at the end of the day, I do love McDonald's French fries. They are my favorite. Don't tell my wife, but I may stop off there now and again and she doesn't know it. But just think what goes into that farm to fork equation as we talk about these things.
Wow. Now let's come back to the business here. Maybe some examples, some case studies or use cases, Sam, and some of the KPIs. Tell us about your work and what are the use cases that you're doing and what are the metrics that you are impacting through this work.
Yeah, I'll go back to my days with Ford, and this is very commonly known. It's out in publications, but in my mind and others, I think this acronym SQDCME that came out of Ford really kind of hits the what do we have to improve equation. More and more, it's the kind of the safety, the quality, the cost, but that delivery is so critical. The morale, obviously the workforce is changing. I talked a little bit about Industry 5.0 with cobotics, where we're taking a bit of a step back from automation and realizing that the human element is so critical. And again, the environments that we work in. But if you look at the value propositions that companies are trying to improve, safety, quality, cost, and then the delivery, the morale, the environment, they will play out with any industry, with any business. So if you improve one or more of these, you are on the right track for your company from a revenue, profitability, and what we're really going after is operational efficiency. Location services, as you see down the bottom, they all play in some extent, maybe not driving in this equation, but if you think about the quality of the vehicles, maybe it does. But that's our kind of stable business or a staple business. As we expand and diversify, we're learning from everybody. And again, that's why the environment of Industry X, the researchers, the curriculums that we're looking at are so critical as we move forward.
Got it. So this topic here on resource utilization, safety, or security, how does the location services are coming into play here in these topics?
Sure, and I think, you know, one thing we talked about is, do we do individual use cases? Well, we can, but there's so many of them. And so I wanted to kind of move them into more general aspects or combine them a little bit. We know what we're going after, right? We've seen the improvement opportunities, the SQD CME, but when you think about resources, not only the human resources, but the equipment as well, really you want to find out, are they active or are they inactive? Where they are, if you've got a situation, who responds or who's the best person to respond to. And then you think about the security aspects, not only the safety of an individual, but the cyber physical crime aspects that come in. I love this picture in the middle, the remake of the people sitting having their lunch on the beam. This was remade by some iron workers in Chicago, actually, but let me make it simple. If the person in the middle of that line of individuals is a critical piece to a piece of operation that's going on in 10 seconds, let's exaggerate it, how does he get from the middle of that line of people? Does he go left? Does he go right? Do we give him a parachute? I'm not sure how this plays out, but this is the thought process that goes into not only where is that person, but how do I get him to the right situation with the right equipment? He doesn't need his sandwiches anymore, but now he needs a concrete drill or something like that. And then you think about the indications of equipment, people, dead time. If a piece of equipment is not moving or it's empty, it's not of value to the customer. The inventory, what do I need as repair parts or others to keep on site versus the continual consumption models that I need to look at? How many times do I have to move or go pick something up that I didn't have readily at hand? So I've got these milk run situations going on, obviously the accidents, the human side, but all of these play into location services and how we solve for these situations. If I was the guy sitting in the middle and I got a call, whether it's a bio break or something else, I think disturbing the rest of the crew, they wouldn't be too happy because they only get 15 minutes lunch break. But there you go.
Right, right. No, it's very, very fascinating. But maybe since we have Chip and Mark are on the line also, in terms of maybe the development that they're doing, and what type of maybe projects that you guys are working on, and how you're solving some of those these problems. What is behind the scenes? Maybe Chip or Mark can maybe say a few words about that.
Yeah, I can probably say a few words. This is Mark. So I've had quite a few opportunities now at different projects here. And as I said before, primarily in the industrial area. As I said, my career was with Jaguar and Ford for over 30 years, and primarily in a lot of time in vehicle operations, manufacturing engineering, product development, and IT. But I spent the last few years at Ford in the prototype development area. And one of the important things about prototypes is they're very, very expensive to make. They're very expensive assets. So, you know, a prototype vehicle can cost around $200,000 to make. So what Ford was very interested in was looking at opportunities to do tracking and tracing of prototype assets, be they vehicles or parts, using industrial Internet of Things technology. And when eventually I came to HERE, what I found that HERE was doing is partnering with different companies, as Sam had explained. For example, PTC have a industrial Internet of Things platform called ThingWorx, and so we have a current project with ThingWorx to develop an extension where if a developer is working in the PTC ThingWorx Flow application, they can drag and drop HERE location services into their solution that they're building. But then also, you know, HERE has partnerships with AWS, for example. So their IoT platform, SiteWise, is something that we're looking to leverage. And we've done some warehouse management projects with AWS using SiteWise. And those projects were, for example, using highly accurate position technology to get to the location of the forklifts in the Amazon warehouses and also in Amazon's customers' warehouses. Magna Corporation is a big auto supplier that we're helping out. So what I've learned through all this is that the IoT area that I kind of specialized in at Ford is the inventory of things, right? So it's kind of the what in the equation. And then HERE is sort of providing the where in the equation. So where in terms of the position of an asset on a map. So that's kind of a static data. But then also where in terms of the context of being in that position, which is more dynamic data, which is more talking about when the asset is moving and through, if it's a vehicle on a road, that would be traffic. If it's a part moving through an assembly plant, that might be flow. So, and traffic and flow are kind of the same thing, really. So the what is the IoT, the where is HERE, and then the other aspect, the other dimension that you've got is the when. So a lot of industry is based on sort of just-in-time delivery. So having a very accurate estimated time of arrival of your supplies coming to your assembly plant, to your ERP system, is very important, just as getting parts to the line at the right time is very important. So it's really about what and where, and then also when comes into the context as part of the projects that we've worked on. I hope that helps a little bit.
Right. So one thing which is have gained a lot of momentum in the last years, especially with this delivery. So in terms of this last mile delivery, or I see this fleet optimization, what is the value this location services bring in this whole equation?
Yeah, so it's, again, go ahead, Mark, or Chip, if you wish.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that the last mile application is an end-to-end solution from HERE. Usually HERE provides sort of location services rather than whole solutions, but HERE really, and in some ways driven by the COVID situation where small businesses need to deliver products to customers. HERE developed a last mile application that allows optimization of a fleet of delivery vehicles, providing services to customers, that is based on a tour planning API, which optimizes all of the vehicles in the fleet, all the drivers in the fleet, and leverages the dynamic data that HERE has in its data set in terms of weather and traffic and those sort of things, so that the optimum initial route is selected, but then dynamically updated depending on what the conditions are any particular day.
And then Mark, I can actually expand on that a little bit when you talk about that delivery, and it's when we talk about location services as a generic term, it's not just location, it's the context, as Mark mentioned a couple of times, it's the context. And let's imagine some of these delivery vehicles, they may have height or weight restrictions. In some cities, there are time of day restrictions when delivery vehicles can be on certain streets. So those are all things that are taken into context that need to be leveraged by industry in order to optimize their fleets, in order to optimize their business.
Well, that's a great point, Chip. I was not even thinking about that. Because when you do the route planning, and if you have this information, and that information is maybe programmed into this location services or things like that, that can really optimize this whole, because I was reading this, that more than 50% of the shipping cost is in the last mile delivery. That's what the numbers are. It's a huge number. So I think that can definitely benefit. One last question before we go to there's some questions I see from the people. But what do you see? We have a lot of students who are in this webinar as well. And I want to maybe ask you about, if a student who's listening with us, or maybe a professional who wants to maybe go into this location services, what is the trajectory of these location services? Is this worth investing maybe your time and energy in this area? What do you guys say on this?
Do you mean as a somebody that will be entering the workforce, Norman? Or?
Because now, for example, we were talking to City of Detroit about workforce development.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of people who want to learn advanced technologies. Location services is one of the advanced technology. What is the potential of this? Somebody entering this, do you guys see a potential here, or this is remain like a very selected niche market?
No, it's a great question, but I think it's kind of the world is your oyster answer. If you look at location services, it's not what you think it is the answer. If you're planning things like environmental, if we're getting into the industry of oil or gas, where are these points that we have to find base minerals and all these kind of things? So you can go back to the basic cartography, the mapping of capabilities. If you look at fleet optimization, it's not so much where it is, it's how it's going to have to move in relativity to everything else, the supplies, right? We have projects ongoing with companies now to optimize the movement of their vehicle fleets for utility or service. Another aspect is micro-location that we haven't talked about yet. And I think time-wise, we may run out of time a little bit here because we strayed a little bit. But I'll go back to the potato. The harmonics is an indicator of failure, because as they go through the cutters, if the cutter blade gets broken or is deflected, the harmonics of that blade changes, but it's related to the enrichment of the information. So then it becomes, okay, I've had a blade that's failed. I need to know where in the process it's failed, because I'm going to have to locate and correct it. But again, the potatoes, the French fries that have been cut have moved on. There's possibility that I've broken a blade and there's a piece of a blade that's moving on. It's all relative. So it's wrong to think of location as just where is something. That the expansion of the capability of location services is what's happening, how did it happen, when. So it's an intrinsic part of any job that you're going to go into, whether it's supply chain, logistics, engineering. the collective has to come together. And that's why working with the university, we see a criticality of adding the aspect of location services and technology into the curriculums for the next generation. Those are things that we're working very quickly on with the university, with Noman, et cetera, to make sure it's embedded. So, you know, it's not I can just go into this single industry. It's a wealth of industry that uses location services. It's just that it's not been represented in the way of its full extent. I know it's a long-winded answer, but it's not a limitation by any means. It's actually an advantage to understand location services in many streams of opportunity.
Right. So we got a few questions, and maybe we have 5 more minutes into the program. One question is about privacy. That with the location services, what is your approach on privacy? And the second question, which is also very interesting, is there are some case studies where do you need to install some sensors? Are you collecting data from phones? So privacy, number one, and then how do you collect this data?
Yep, privacy is always difficult, right? It's the big brother syndrome. What do we know about each other? But the reality is that there are ways to parse off information about an individual versus the device. We know adversely to that, there is an association between devices and individuals. So we're not crossing any boundaries that would cause an infraction on privacy acts. We get permission to use information when it's appropriate. For marketing and market research, we know that the minute you go into a supermarket or a building, et cetera, you can detect IPs. And so you may be walking down a market, a retailer or a Kroger or a Costco, et cetera. You're going to get pinged more than likely with a commercial, with a discount voucher, et cetera, because it knows that phone is in that proximity. So there's a person at the end of that phone. Privacy is a delicate thing, and there's no easy way to answer it other than we're cognizant of law and violations, and we don't cross the boundary of what is invasive and what is not. The aspect, the other question, just remind me again really quickly, Norman. I think it was
about how do you collect this data? Is it so? Maybe Mark answered. Mark, do you want to maybe expand on that?
Well, I can
do that. Okay.
Sorry, Mark. You want to do rock, paper, scissors, maybe?
Okay. I can have a stab, and then maybe you can help me out, Chip, when I get stuck. So here gathers position data in terms of location from many types of devices. So that could be a simple tag that's attached to a person or an asset, and the position of that tag could be picked up by some infrastructure that is installed into a facility. It could be an intelligent tracker that is capable to transmit its position via a cellular network on a regular basis. We have software that can be put onto an Android phone or a tablet, which can act as a tracker for that the person carrying that device or the machine carrying that device. We gather data from truck telematics units. So if there's a fleet of trucks that have those type of units embedded, then we can use that data to provide them enhanced information about their location. And then obviously all of the major automotive manufacturers have embedded GPS units in the vehicles. So those vehicles transmit their position in that way. If that helps.
Very good. Chip, do you want to add something to that?
No, I think Mark captured most of it. I think the question also included, is there something specific, a specific sensor that needs to be embedded within phones or things along those lines? In some cases, if it's a industrial vehicle that doesn't already have positioning, then in that case, yes, but usually no. So using examples like the mobile phones and smartphones and everything like that, the sensors are already there. It's a matter of anonymizing the information and transmitting that information to our back end where it can be leveraged for generating traffic information, all sorts of things that we can leverage that for. But anonymity is certainly key, as Sam mentioned earlier.
Got it. One last thing, one last question, and then we can leave. The question is, what type of engineers does location industry need the most? This is a question from the panel, from the attendees. What type of engineers you're looking for?
I think that, okay, Sam, would I be remiss to just say yes?
Actually,
Diverse engineers, I think. Yeah.
yes is a good answer. I think what more important to me, and again, this is a very personal view, is I want to see the right characteristics of a person. They have to have an interest, obviously, but to me, it's the willingness to research and go beyond where we are today. We need to kind of push this aspect again. We've got so much data out there that we're working to figure out how to use it. So if you're mechanical production, process engineer, electrical engineer, the engineering side is open. To me, it's the degrees, and I won't say it in a negative connotation, but we have to tune the curriculum so that we explain more in terms of the lessons that we look for in research, so we get the right workforce prepared. As I said before, it's such a diverse application that it's critical that we do that.
For example, we have a very strong program of data science engineers at Wayne State, and Dr. Chinam brings a lot of leadership and runs the program, the whole big data summit he does. Is that something data scientists are used in this location services?
Absolutely. Look at all the optimization algorithms and multi-attribute utility that we have to apply to get the decisions right. Again, it's not where are you, it's what's going to happen next. How do I prevent issues? The whole science behind location service and the application of it is so critical that it's again, it's not 1,000, it's 1,000,000% yes.
Okay.
Data science is so prevalent in this situation.
Great. So with this, I know we ran over a few minutes, but I want to thank everyone. And the discussion it just clarified a lot of things for me. I know it clarified a lot of things for our viewers. We're going to be posting this on our Facebook and our LinkedIn channels and our YouTube. Any last words, Sam? Thank you very much.
Yeah, again, it's a pleasure to talk to everybody and have this opportunity. But again, I just want people to open their mind to location is not just about where am I. It's everything that's going on around you and all the rich enrichment of the information that it supports it. I'll give you one simple situation, and COVID is a very important thing, but all the businesses that are closing, think about trying to figure out where to go for your favorite coffee. Now think, is it open? Do they have resources? That's all the kind of the real-time updates that go on from a simple, where do I get my coffee in the morning? It's a very, very complex environment, but need rich minds and thought process to do the right thing for industry.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Chip, last words, please.
No, I think Sam's really summarized it well. I think we've covered a lot of topics, but it's a very deep industry. We could go on for literally for hours and days.
I think what we're gonna do, maybe we'll come back with some more details, maybe later, maybe next year sometime. We'll come back to this, and I like to have the same panel come back. Brought a lot of great value to the discussion. Marcus, key points from your side as we close.
I guess as my son recently graduated from Wayne State in the supply chain area, I think in the location is extremely critical in terms of the supply chain visibility industry. So I think there's definitely room for connectivity between the industrial engineering sector and the sort of supply chain business world. So maybe there's a cross collaboration between those departments at Wayne State.
Sure. No, thanks for clarifying this key point that industrial engineers can be a key people who come into this industry. Divya, closing points from your side.
Yes, no, this was all really great. I loved how we were able to provide more real world examples, and hopefully that benefited people and students who are looking at entering the job market. But no, I thought this was a great discussion. Thank you all for joining and participating.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.